Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am Dr. Sayyid Rafiuddin Shah, Region of Urology. Today the topic of discussion will be TURBT and new methods of bladder tumor visualization and resections. The objectives are transurethral resection of bladder tumor and its challenges, surgical strategies of resection with either piecemeal or en bloc resection, monopolar and bipolar resection of small papillary bladder tumors at the time of TURP, photodynamic diagnosis, narrowband imaging, and additional technologies. So, some brief anatomy of the bladder. Bladder is a triangular shaped organ with a posterior base, anterior apex, and inferior neck with the two inferior lateral surfaces. It is lined by transitional epithelium except at the trigone. The trigone is a triangular area of smooth mucosa found on internal surface of the base. So, histologically, the bladder has a three wall with mucosa, which further consists of urothelium and lamina propria, submucosa, which include connective tissues, and muscularis, which include detrusor muscles, which are in three layers: inner longitudinal, middle circular, and outer longitudinal. And the adventitia are the connective tissues which separate bladder from different organs. So these are the layers: urothelium, lamina propria, submucosa, detrusor muscle, and adventitia. Same histological layers of the bladder with transition epithelium, lamina propria, muscularis propria, and adventitia. Now, T stage of the bladder tumors. T stage, T1 more is a tumor of involving only urothelium. Carcinoma in situ is flat tumors, and T1 involves the tumor involving the lamina propria. T2 involving the muscle with the T2A involving superficial, and T2B involving the deep muscles. T3 are microscopic involvement of perivesical fats with T3B macroscopic involvement of perivesical fats. T4A adjacent structure involvement, and T4B distant organs involvement. So, transurethral resection of the bladder tumors, it is the first line procedure intended to be diagnostic and therapeutic by providing specimen to allow the pathological determination of the stage and grade, while simultaneously you can remove and fulgurate the all visible tumor. More than 70% of the bladder tumors are non-muscle invasive. TURBT is yielding 62% long-term survival in a patient with well-differentiated grade 1 and moderately differentiated grade 2 TA tumors. TURBT is not effective for carcinoma in situ because this is often so diffuse and difficult to visualize that surgical removal is not feasible. Guidelines on TURBT. The all guidelines, American Urological Association, European, and NCCN are in agreement that the final diagnosis of the bladder cancer is based on cystoscopic examination and TURBT specimen histology. The guidelines further agree that all visible tumor must be resected during TURBT with bimanual examination under anesthesia before and after TURBT, and the adequate sample should be taken. These are the guidelines which tell us that a patient suspected of having bladder cancer should go on through the TURBT as an initial diagnostic and therapeutic procedure. And TURBT should be in a systemic wise and systemic steps, which include a bimanual palpation, which we can omit in non-invasive or early tumors, and inspection of whole urethra, inspection of bladder epithelium with orifices, cold cup bladder biopsy, and biopsy of the prostatic urethra, resection of the all tumors, and documentation of all finding and recording. So, pre-op preparation for TURBT. Before TURBT, we should stop aspirin and NSAIDs for a week before surgery, which can increase the risk of bleeding, and stop all anticoagulants within at least 7 days before surgery, but it should be discussed with the cardiologist for bridging therapy. Pre-op appointment at least 1 to 2 weeks before surgery for anesthesia fitness. A urine culture must be available at least 1 week before surgery, and nilper oral from midnight, and single prophylactic antibiotic should be given as hospital protocol. But some patients patient having additional history of vascular heart diseases, additional antibiotic can be given like ampicillin to decrease the risk of endocarditis. TURBT is usually performed with a rigid cystoscope to ensure the adequate maneuverability. The position of the patient will be a dorsal lithotomy position. First, we will inspect. We will do inspection with a 0 scope and 30 scope to see the whole urethra and enterity, and then 70 scope lens to examine the whole urethra, bladder, neck, to perform the preliminary evaluation of bladder mucosa and ureteral orifices. The exact location and exact tumor should be noted and documented. These are the instruments. 30-degree optic scope, a resectoscope, and loop and sheath and obturator. Goals of resection in TURBT. The goals of resection must be to make a correct diagnosis, complete removal of all visible lesions, and ensure the adequate depth of resection inclusive of muscularis propria. And TURBT should be performed systematically and individual step to achieve the successful TURBT. These factors are factor assigning disease, whether we should note during TURBT its tumor is primary recurrent. Tumor number should be noted, size, multifocality, and concern the presence of carcinoma in situ, and the characteristic of tumor, either tumor is sessile, nodular, papillary, or flat. We should also note the clinical stage with bimanual palpation, either bimanually is palpable or not palpable, but we can omit the bimanual palpation and such as non-invasive or low-grade tumors. Adequacy of resection must be noted. A visual complete resection and visualization of the muscle at the resection base should be there. Presence of complication at last, we will assess for the bladder complication like perforation. Histologically, bladder tumors are frequently exhibit growth beyond the visible edges, so the resection should include approximately 2 cm margin of the normal appearing tissue, which ensure or complete removal of the tumor, either it's sessile or papillary. Resection is typically performed with the continuous flow irrigation and resectoscope with the bladder only filled enough to visualize its content. So we will avoid over distance of the bladder because of the risk of perforation. So if we avoid the distension, it decreases the bladder wall movements and thinning of the bladder wall, so decrease the risk of perforation during TURBT. After resection, all visible tumor we should evacuate and bimanual palpation should be done to perform Any palpable lesion should be noted, and it's if the tumor is palpable, stage clinically T3B. So the method of resection should be the tumor edge, lifting the tumor edge away from the uterus, lessen the chance of the perforation. After resection, additional passing of cutting loops or cold biopsy can be obtained, and histopathology should be sent separately to determine the muscle invasion by the tumors. Alternative form of TURBT for very small or low-grade tumor is cold cup biopsies for SIP. This helps in the patient with a thin bladder and also decrease the risk of perforation with the traditional TUR techniques. So now come to the presentation. It's either piecemeal or en bloc resection. Piecemeal resection are old-fashioned resection in a fraction. In this type of resection, we can separately resect the exophatic part, underlying bladder wall, edge of resection in stalk. It's the old-fashioned techniques, and due to high recurrence rate, it's not a good method. En bloc transurethral resection of a bladder tumor. It's a novel resection technique that can be performed with the traditional loop electrodes, hybrid knife, aluminum laser, or helium laser. It involves the excision of the entire tumor with an underlying segment muscle, with specimen being resected and extracted intact rather than piecemeal. The benefit of en bloc resection is less cautery artifact, provide high quality resected specimen with the presence of retrusor muscle in 96 to 100% of cases, short hospital stay and short catheterization time, less complication, lower recurrence rate. This technique is most feasible in a papillary tumor with a distinct stalk. However, large tumor may be problematic because of extraction, which may be require fragmentation to pieces to allow the extraction through the resectoscopes. energy sources used in TURBT. Traditional TURBT, monopolar artery for resection is used. Most recently, bipolar technology has extended its use in TURBT with the potential benefits of less bleeding, short hospital stay, low risk of obturator reflex, and decrease the risk of TUR syndrome. In the bipolar, the active and return electrodes are very close together on the loop, so the current cannot pass to the whole through the whole body of the patient. Irrigation fluid can be either sterile or 1.5% glycine in the case of monopolar at the cutting current of 150 to 200 watt and the coagulation current of 70 to 120 watt, or 0.5% normal saline in a bipolar current at 150 to 250 watt cutting and coagulation on 80 watt. For further reducing the power setting in bipolar to the 50 cutting and 40 coagulation, bipolar may reduce the incidence of obturator reflex and bladder perforation close to zero. These are the bipolar loops and whole instruments with bipolar loop. So TURBT can be done with a laser. Laser more probably work with a mechanism of denaturation of the tissues with either by thermal or dehydration or crystallization. So laser coagulation allow minimal invasive ablation of small papillary tumor up to 2.5 centimeter. Most laser therapy used in urology are ND-YAG laser and HO holmium lasers. Significant complication of laser therapy is forward scatter of laser energy to the adjacent structure, resulting perforation of the hollow viscous organs such as overlying bowel. This is a rare complication, but it's most occur with the ND-YAG laser because of its deep penetration with that of is compared to the holmium laser. Limiting the energy of laser to the 35 watt preclude the exceeding of 60 degrees Celsius at the outer wall of the bladder, minimize the risk of bowel injury. Most recently, en-bloc resection of the bladder tumor has been accomplished using a thulium laser. Tumor of 1 to 5 centimeters have been resected using this technique, and it appears to be safe with a low incidence of bleeding and bladder perforation. These are the comparative studies trials of conventional TURBT and laser TURBT showing the free recurrent survival from the tumor. So the challenges we come across in the TURBTs are mostly for the tumors of on the lateral walls of tumors occupying the uterine orifices, tumors located at the dome, and tumors at the diverticulum. So for tumors overlying the lateral walls, it's difficult to resect and often cause obturator reflex. The obturator reflex is the sudden adduction of the obturator leg during TURBT due to direct stimulation of obturator nerve, which runs closely in the proximity of lateral wall during its intrapelvic course. Obturator influx increases the risk of bladder perforation, and obturator reflex can be mitigated by some maneuver that are minimizing the bladder distension, usage of bipolar current in TURBT, and GA or spinal anesthesia with muscle relaxant or obturator block. So obturator nerve are spared in spinal anesthesia, so spinal anesthesia can't work on obturator nerve. This picture shows how obturator nerve reflexes occur. It's a direct stimulation of obturator nerve, which course on lateral related to the lateral wall of the bladder intrapelvically. These are the whole course of obturator nerve, which are from L2 to L4.
Actually, the obturator reflex doesn't cause the bladder to rupture. It is the whole patient as well as the operator who are disbalanced by this adductor, say, contraction. So the adductor longus actually contracts and it hits the arm of the operator, and if the arm of the operator happens to hold the instrument, that instrument is actually out of control. Yes. So that causes the perforation. It's not the reflex that causes perforation.
So tumor overlying the uterine orifices, the only paver cutting, if we found the tumor on uterine orifices, only paver cutting current should be used, and resection stroke should be as quick as possible to minimize the possibility of cauterizing the uterine orifices. Mono et al. Found 79 patient and whom ureter orifice was resected, only 3%, 3 patient out of 79, 4% develop hydronephrosis. So this study suggests stenting is not needed. But when we resect a large tumor, stenting after resection should be suggested. Tumors located in the dome of the bladder is more difficult because of angulation, distance, and risk of intraperitoneal perforation. This challenge is multifactorial and difficult to overcome, but however, some maneuver may help. It's minimize the bladder distension during resection, and suprapubic applications or suprapubic pressure application either by surgeon or assistant, or extra long instruments are nowadays available from different manufactured countries. So the time should be observed to avoid the prolonged cautery because of the transmission of heat energy could potentially occur to adjacent bowel even in the absence of bladder perforation. So the time should be noted of resection. The tumor at the diverticulum are difficult to resect because of the risk of perforation, and accurate staging is difficult to achieve because of the absence of muscularis propria. Invasion beyond the lamina propria immediately involve the perivesical fats and its stage T3A. Low-grade diverticular tumors are best treated with the combination of conservative resection and fulguration of the base followed by subsequent repeat TURBT if the final pathology interpretation is high grade. High grade tumors are required adequate sampling of the tumor base, often including perivesical fat despite of the risk of perforation. Partial or radical cystectomy should be strongly considered for high grade diverticular tumor because tumor can penetrate extravesically with ease. So this picture shows the T staging of the bladder tumor at normal bladder and diverticulum. So here there is no T2 because diverticulum there is no muscularis propria in the diverticulum. So it's after T1 direct a stage to the T3A perivesical fats, and here there is a T2.
Just one point I want to add here. Whenever you see a diverticulum, and many years back, one of the articles that comes in front of me was telling on a bigger scale, that was a multi-center kind of a study, that how many diverticuli are actually innocent and how many of them do have got something called tumor inside. So in their series, it was like 7% of their patients, 7% of diverticuli that have got a tumor inside. So again, if you have got that background at the back of your mind, this kind of percentage, so whenever you see a diverticulum, you must go inside the diverticulum with the instrument gently, because there is no backing of muscle behind the diverticulum. It is just an outpouching of urothelium. So it is very thin. You shouldn't take biopsy from that area because that will perforate the diverticulum. But if there is a suspicion, what you can have is something called brushing, and that is barbotage of the diverticulum. The second thing is you can have the specimen for cytology or cytological study. Other thing is you got to have the imaging done particularly for diverticulum. So if it is positive, then it is better taken out externally, that is diverticulectomy, rather than internally endoscopically. So I'm talking about diverticulectomy. So it's a separate subject. It is a subject which is less understood and less addressed, but it is very important. And it is important in those subjects, for instance, again in our country, where patients with bladder diverticulum and bladder pathology, they come after 60 years of age when trabeculation and diverticulation happens because of obstruction posed by the prostate. So prostate is there, which is benign. It is causing obstruction to the bladder. Bladder having saculi and diverticulum, that may turn this bladder having urine in stasis within the diverticulum for a longer time. If that is the epithelium is exposed to a lot of carcinogens present in the urine, it will be turning into carcinoma earlier than the rest of the bladder, because they are not evacuated and the rest of the bladder evacuates itself. So that is one theory which is not so profound, but it is a theory.
Thanks. So repeat resection. So complete tumor removal is not always possible, maybe due to excessive tumor volume, anatomic inaccessibility like diverticulum, or medical instability of the patient, a risk of perforation that require premature cessation of initial resection. A study found that a second TURBT detected residual tumors in 26% to 83% of patients and corrected a clinical staging error in half of those patients. In the setting of high-grade T1 tumors, repeat TURBT is recommended within 6 weeks of initial TURBT based on a well-established risk of identifying worse prognostic finding and upstaging of the tumor in 25 to 30% of the repeat TURBT specimen. In one study, survival was 63% in a patient who underwent a repeat resection, with 40% who didn't, and the recurrence appeared to be lower after repeat TUR. So guidelines on the repeat resection. Repeat TURBT should be done if there is incomplete initial resection, or for high risk, high grade TA tumors within 6 weeks, and all T1 disease, repeat TURBT must be done. These are American Urological Association guidelines, and European guidelines tell us that repeat resection should be done if there is incomplete resection initially, and if there is no muscle in the specimen after initial resection, with exception of low-grade TA tumors and possibly complete resected primary carcinoma in situ. In all high-grade tumors except primary carcinoma in situ, repeat TURBT is advised. So what should be done if we found bladder growth on cystoscopy done for TURP? Only limited data exist on the outcome of incidental detected papillary tumor during cystoscopy for TURBT. Provided these tumors are papillary, small, unifocal, low grade, it seems feasible to resect these tumors and continue with TURP. But the resection of high grade bladder tumor should not be performed coincident to TURBT to avoid the tumor seeding and possible intravasation in the prostatic urethra. New advancement in TURBT and enhanced cystoscopic techniques. Endoscopically, urologists suspect a malignancy and seeing like tumors or red spots. However, multi-center study found that 37% of biopsies performed on the basis of suspicion result in false negative biopsy. The imperfect of sensitivity of cystoscopy potentially explain the high rate of cancer recurrence soon after complete removal of R visible tubule. It is likely that many cases a cancer was already present but not visible at the time of resection and simply visible on second resection. To aid in identification, more techniques are developed that are enhanced cystoscopic techniques which help in diagnosis and resection of the bladder tumor. So photodynamic diagnosis, fluorescence cystoscopy. Lesion can be missed with white light cystoscopy, and photodynamic diagnosis has been developed to assist in the detection of these lesions at the time of resection, and thus reduce the rate of recurrence and improve the completeness of resection. Photodynamic diagnosis exploits the photodynamic properties of several compounds like hexaminolevulinate and 5-aminolevulinic acid. These photoactive porphyrin accumulate preferentially in neoplastic tissues, and under blue light they emit red fluorescence from which we can see the tumor and we can dissect easily. When blue light technology is used, small papillary tumors are almost 1/3 more cases which are overlooked and cystoscopy can be identified. In one study, 96% of all tumors were detected with PDD for photodynamic diagnosis compared with the standard white light cystoscopy 77%, and that for carcinoma in situ is 95 with 68%, and papillary tumors 96 to 85%. It accurately assesses the thoroughness of transurethral resection and thus decreases the recurrence rate of patient who undergoes fluorescence cystoscopies. Approximately 1 hour prior to planned TURBT, a 50 ml reconstituted solution should be instilled in the bladder, and which after that porphyrin accumulated in neoplastic tissues we can see with a blue light. Recently in 2010, FDA approved a CIS view of photodynamic for photodynamic cystoscopies. Shows white light and clear fluorescence cystoscopies which we can see the tumor and easily resectable. This shows the recurrence-free tumor survival around fluorescent TURBT and conventional TURBT. Narrowband imaging. It is the optical image enhancement technology intended to improve the visibility of blood vessel inherent to the neoplastic process. It's composed of two specific wavelengths that are absorbed by hemoglobin. It's 415 nanometer light and 540. The 415 are only penetrate into the superficial mucosal layer, while 540 nanometer light penetrate more deeply. On basis of these, we can visualize the tumor and distinguish the blood vessel on and below the surface of the tumor, which help in the resection and thus reduce the recurrence rate after resection. Several studies have revealed that narrowband imaging is able to detect 13% more papillary tumor as well as carcinoma in situ than standard white light cystoscopies. This is white light and this is narrowband images with dark color and show more visible tumors, so we can resect it properly. Optical coherence tomography. It's a real-time imaging technology using infrared light to provide cross-sectional image. This technology is able to distinguish the different layers of the bladder, eye, urothelium, lamina propria, as musculus propria, and help in the resection. This technology, this is the OCT showing the normal urothelium, lamina propria, and musculation. So differentiate between the different layer, and thus we can see the invasion of the bladder group to the different layer of the muscles. Confocal laser endomicroscopy. It involves the administration of fluorescein and use 488 nanometer lower power laser to scan the tissue section of interest below the surface. This technology distinguishes between normal, benign, inflammatory, and high-grade tumors. This is endomicroscopy laser, which can differentiate carcinoma in situ, inflammation, and scars. SPICE system. It's a STARS professional image enhancement system. It's digitally enhance the wide image of bladder surface using different spectra of light, allowing the urologist to choose the best enhancement image in different clinical situations. STARS system is a complete system of which use a different spectra of light for enhancement technology. So we either resect its bladder tumor properly. With this technology, we can assess the depth of tumor invasion during resection. Early experience suggests that SPICE has similar detection rate to the narrow band imaging regardless of the tumor stage. So these are the different light spectra used in SPICE technology, which can enhance the bladder growth. So complication occurring in TURBT. The major complication we come across in TURBT are uncontrolled hematuria, which mostly occur in 2%, with a bladder perforation less than 5%, TUR syndrome, and ureter orifice scarring. The minor complication are minor bleeding, irritative symptoms, and infection. Here we can only discuss the bladder perforation TURBT. The bladder perforation can be natural as a result of adequate resection, or it may be due to some events occur in TURBT. Perforation can occur in TURBT 1 to 6.7% in cases in proven studies, although 50% of patients can exhibit contrast agent extravasation on cystogram after TURBT. Perforation may be extraperitoneal. It's extraperitoneal up to 80 to 85% are intraperitoneal, where posterior wall of the tumor and dome tumor may result intraperitoneal resection, while other areas like bladder, which can result extraperitoneal perforation. Bladder perforation can be avoided during TURBT by avoiding over-distension of the bladder, using paralytic anesthetics when we resect the lateral wall tumors. A large bulky tumor that maybe muscle invasive are often best resected in staged manner. If we come across the extraperitoneal perforation, the treatment is just placement of Foley's with observation. If we come across the intraperitoneal perforation, which can be suggested if we lost the bladder distension during TURBT, visualization of a defect posteriorly or at the dome, or palpable distension of the abdomen, and which is then confirmed by cystogram. If you found intraperitoneal perforation of bladder, exploration and primary repair with the Foley's and abdominal drainage is the treatment of choice. Thank you.